Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Learning GT Cars series. In this series, I'm going to be learning how to drive GT cars by going through ACC's career mode. Most of it is the same as the Formula cars that I drive, but there are some differences like ABS and traction control settings that I still need to get used to. Just before we get started, something has changed in this episode, and I'll tell you guys what it is at the end of the video, but try and guess what it is before then. This is episode 4 of the series. If you haven't seen the other ones yet, you should go and check them out because they're really exciting. Anyway, let's get on with it. All the teams have been asked to attend the wet tyre test to help with upgrades and changes in the future. The only problem was, the track was wet for about 3 minutes and then it started to dry extremely fast. By the end of the session, the only puddles were on the outside of turns and right on the inside of corners. And that wasn't the safest, and I soon proved that and spun. I think snails would have laughed at how slow I had to go to stop the tyres from setting on fire and cool them down. The only good thing I could take from that session was that I knew the track layout. Free practice wasn't too exciting. I was still learning the layout, but the track was super fun. I did go off a few times, but other than that, nothing exciting happened. I can't really compare these cars to F1 cars at this track, because F1 doesn't race here, but if F1 were to race here, they could probably do a sub 1 minute lap time. Time for qualifying. I wasn't expecting anything spectacular in this session, because I was still learning the track and the AI were flying around here. Now, I should be having a great championship battle with this Audi, had he not done what he did in the last episode. I'm not going to tell you what happened, so go check it out afterwards. Just remember, if you don't, you might never find out what happened. I did a 1:42.6 on my first lap, and there was definitely loads of time in there, and on my second lap I did a 1:41.7 and I kept pushing on. On my fourth lap I went really wide and invalidated my lap. I was given blue flags, but when I tried to let the cars behind through, they wouldn't go past, so I just continued. I then did almost exactly the same thing that I did on the lap before and invalidated it. I ended up finishing P15, a whole 2 seconds off the pace, with my fastest lap being a 1:41.3 exactly. Now for the second quali. This is the same as the first quali, except it decides the grid order for race 2. I was a little more comfortable with the track now and felt better pushing and finding the limits. On my first lap I did a 1:41.9, which is already 4/10 faster than my fastest lap from the last session. On lap 2 I did a 39.7 and I was really happy with it. That ended up being my fastest lap of the session because my other laps were invalid. I ended up finishing P12 overall, so hopefully I can make up some positions in the race. Race 1, starting P15, I sent it a little too hard going into turn 1 and got a tiny bit of damage to the front of the car. Nothing major, I couldn't even feel the difference in handling. I made a nice move on the Audi ahead around the outside, sending it really late, but I managed to pull it off. I got on the brakes much later than the car ahead and went down the inside, and after lap 1 I had made up 7 positions and was up into P8. The cars ahead started to pull away, so I was focused on maintaining my position. I was maintaining my lead on the Audi behind for a few minutes, and then they started to gain on me. I went wide because I broke too late and they pulled alongside me.
Car on the left.
I was brave on the brakes going into this double right and I managed to get ahead on the exit.
The left. Car on the left. Clear on the left.
It wasn't over yet though. I got on the power too early and went wide again and he got ahead.
Car on the right. Clear on the right.
I broke early going into the final corner to maximise my exit speed, and with the slipstream I managed to pull alongside. Then I chose to go to the outside and stayed alongside in turn 1. But now I have the inside into turn 2, but it makes it really difficult for me to get past, but I'm still alongside into turn 3, but again I can't get ahead. Going into turn 4, I brake late but still can't get past. I managed to get the momentum on the outside of turn 5 and just as ahead. but then with the inside going into turn 6, I managed to get past. It was only as I made this overtake that I realised I hadn't changed my traction control and ABS settings, so they were really high. But just as we get to the braking zone for the next corner, he starts to pull alongside, and that puts me off a little bit, and I go a tiny bit wide. But then I get the switch back and start to gain on him, but he has the inside and gets ahead again. But I have so much momentum coming out of the corner that I start to pull alongside. We are still side by side as we come up to the fastest corner of the track. He backs off and I get the position. On the next lap, he sends it down the inside of turn 13 and gets ahead. I prioritise my exit out of the final corner again and pull alongside.
Car on the right. Clear on the right.
He goes a bit deep in turn 1, which then compromises his turn 2. I try the switchback, but I nudge him and get some damage to the front, but still I couldn't feel the difference. I then go down the inside at turn 4 and finish off the move in turn 5 and 6.
Car on the left. Clear on the left. Car on the left. Clear on the left.
Going into the double right-hander, he goes down my inside and gets ahead again, but I keep the momentum and start to pull alongside in the straight.
Car on the right. Clear on the right.
Coming up to the triple right-hander, I have to lift off a tiny bit so I don't hit him, and I manage to stay alongside the whole time.
Clear on the left. Car on the left.
I still have the inside going into turn 13, but he turns in on me and gives me damage, and now all the cars behind have caught up.
Clear on the left.
Now I started preparing for my pit stop, because I know that the pit window will open soon. When it opens, I was just coming up to the pit lane, so I decided to box so I could get out of the way. I had 6 seconds worth of damage, which would make me lose tons of positions after everyone else was pitted. After the pit window closed, I was down in P15, so I had to start pushing to catch the cars in front. With just over 11 minutes to go, I had caught up to the Ferrari in front. I then made my move into turn 4 and finished it off into turn 5, going down the inside.
On the left. Car on the left. Clear on the left.
A couple of minutes later, 2 cars crashed ahead. Looks like a Bentley and a Ferrari, and I was up into P12. I brought it home in P12. I think that was the best I could have done this race, so hopefully I can have a better race too. My recording was only showing this, so now I have a 4-episode tally of my recording stuff not working. Fortunately, I saved the recording on the game. Unfortunately, the recording started on lap 5. I'm P10 right now, so I definitely made up some positions at the start, but right now I'm defending from the Mercedes behind. I go wide and the Merc gets alongside, but I managed to get ahead into the penultimate corner. Nothing too exciting happened until about halfway through lap 7, when the car behind sent it going into the double right, and we were side by side the whole straight, but he backed off when we came up to the first flat out right and I stayed ahead. On lap 9, I went really wide and off the track into turn 1 and lost a position, and then lost another position because I had no momentum. I managed to get past the Lambo later on in the lap. Nothing exciting happened for the next few minutes. I was just managing my pace and holding position. Then I came into the pits. I was the last running car when I came out. I wasn't pushing too hard because I knew that the cars ahead were faster than me, but that if I could go a tiny bit faster than them, but still save my tyres, I might have a chance towards the end of the race. After the pit window closed, I was back where I started in P12. The second stint was pretty boring. I didn't have to defend or fight anyone, so I was just managing my tyres and brought her home in P12. I think that was the best I could have done this race. I made a few mistakes in the first stint, but I think that the cars that got past because of them would have got past anyway sooner or later. In the second stint, I was just managing my pace and tyres. Oh, and the thing that changed this episode is the speed unit. It's now miles per hour instead of kilometers per hour. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Make sure to like and subscribe, and feel free to donate to the channel. All the money goes to my racing career. And with that, I'll see you in the next one.